guys, welcome back. Our lesson today will be on additive and multiplicative patterns or rules. Just like how we can find additive or multiplicative rules or patterns for tables, we can do the exact same thing for graphs. By the end of this video, you will be able to quickly tell if a graph is additive or multiplicative by just simply looking at it. That's pretty cool. The first place I would start is actually try to find the coordinate pairs for each of these points. Remember, x is always first and then y. So I'm going to go across to find my elevator, and my dot is on 1, comma, when I take the elevator up, it's 2. So go ahead and figure out all the ordered pairs for the rest of the point. Once I've found all of my ordered pairs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself a little table. And my table will consist of x and y values. And I'm going to use these x and y values right here in my ordered pairs to fill in this table. So as you can see in this ordered pair, when my x is 1, my y was 2. When my x was 2, my y was 3. And when my x was 3, my y was 4. Now, with these values in this table, I can start looking at relationships. So how did I get from 1 to 2? I can either multiply or I can add. So I'm going to try adding. Because adding is easier for me, I always try to add first. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So let's see if adding 1 to this x value now will give me 3. And it does. And so will this. That tells me that this rule right here is actually going to be additive rule. And how do I write this rule? I'm going to write it as y equals something happened to x. So x plus 1 will give me all these y's. If you guessed finding the ordered pairs for each of these points, you are absolutely correct. You may pause me so that you can find those ordered pairs and come back to check your work. What is our next step going to be? Again, if you guessed that we're going to be making a little table for this, you are absolutely correct. So let's go ahead, pause me, and try to create this table on your own. Then our third step is going to be looking for the relationship between x and y. So right here, as you can see, we started out with a 0 and 0. That's kind of hard to find relationships for. So I'm going to actually skip to the next one first because it's easier when I have two different numbers to work with. So I'm going to ask myself, 1 plus what makes 2? Or 1 times what makes 2? I can try adding. I can try 1 plus 1 will give me 2, and that works. But let's see if 1 plus 2 for when x is 2, if that's going to give me a 4. Well, as you can see, it doesn't give me a 4. So I have to go back and try multiplication. So 1 times what gives me 2? If you guessed 2, you're absolutely correct. So let me try to see if 2 times 2 will give me 4. It does. So when I go back to the 0, I can also say, oh, 0 times 2 will give me 0. So how do we write this rule again? We look at this relationship right here, and you can write this down so that you can use this as a whole complete sentence. And how do I see it? I see it starting from x times 2 equals y. Just remember that for multiplicative rules, we can write them different ways. One more thing that is very important about a multiplicative graph is that it always crosses the origin. And sometimes those points are not there for us at the origin, but if you extend the line graph, you will see that it will always cross at the origin. Why? Because the origin is at point 0, 0. For example, if I'm just making up this random rule, if our rule is y equals 13 times x, and where x is 0, if I multiply this by 13, my y will also be 0. And the only way we can get both x and y at zeros is by multiplication. Remember how I told you at the beginning of this lesson that you will be able to tell if a graph is additive or multiplicative by just looking at it? Well, here it is. Every multiplicative graph will always cross the origin. So if you were to put a line through this graph, it will always cross at 0, 0. On the other hand, additive graphs actually don't cross through the origin. Notice how my line just crosses through right here. It's missing the origin. The origin is all the way down here. And same with this graph right here. I can tell that this is additive because it's not crossing at the origin. First, always start with finding ordered pairs for given points. Then, make a table with these ordered pairs. Lastly, find the rule by looking at the relationship between the x and the y value, and then write that rule in a complete number sentence with x and y. So that's it for this lesson, guys. Remember, we need to keep on practicing, and if you still struggle with it, it's okay.